what we are doing, it's cultural cartography. We are mapping. We don't go too much into specific. There are people in our groups like Padma Priya or Vaidyanathan Ramanathan sir or Shashwat who go into details, but the overall nature of the group is cultural cartography. என்னலாம் ஒரு 50 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னால என்ன நடந்தது ஒரு இடத்துல ஒரு ரிவர் பக்கத்துல. So we need to mark it for future generations. So mapping a drainage rivulet was a real challenge. ஒரு சாக்கடையா நான் ஒரு 50 வருஷம் ஆச்சு சென்னையில் பிறந்து வளர்ந்தது. 50 வருஷமா நம்ம சாக்கடையா பார்த்த ஒரு இடத்த இதுக்கு என்ன சரித்திரம் இருக்க முடியும்னு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எல்லாம் யோசிச்சோம். இன்ஃபேக்ட் நாங்கள் மெட்ராஸ் டே லாஸ்ட் இயருக்கு ஆரம்பிக்கிறதுக்காக வி கோஆப்ரேட்டட் வித் ஸ்ரீராம். ஸ்ரீராம் செட் ஒரு 3 மாசத்துல முடிச்சுட்டு வந்துருங்க பண்ணிடலாம் அப்படின்னு ஒரு ஜூன்ல சொன்னார். பட் ஆகஸ்ட்லி வி வேர் நோவேர் நோட் நியர் த க்ளோஸ். ஸோ இட் டுக் அஸ் அனதர் ஃபுல் இயர் டு மேப் எவ்ரி திங். பட் ஸ்டில் இன்னும் முடிச்சிட்டோமான்னு தெரியல. ஏன்னா இந்த ஸ்பீச் எழுதி முடிச்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் 2 or 3 things cropped up. Then Padma Priya said you have to add that in the speech because they are important. Last week வரைக்கும் we are getting அதில் வந்து எனக்கு ஒரு ரொம்ப ஃபேவரட் ஜோக் ஆஃப் கிருபானந்த வாரியார் தான் ஞாபகம் வரும். கிருபானந்த வாரியார் வந்து ஒரு சபையில் ஒரு பையனை கூப்பிட்டு உங்கள் அப்பாவுக்கு எத்தனாவது பையன்? கடைசி பையன். அது உங்கள் அப்பா முடிவு பண்ணணும், நீ முடிவு பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னா. அந்த மாதிரி இது கூவம் தான் முடிவு பண்ணுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஐ திங்க் இட் இஸ் கிவிங் அஸ் ஃபர்தர் டீட்டெயில்ஸ் the more we look into it. So I request you to come along we just touch and go like birds will touch and go. There are so many things. நான் இதிலே பாதி தான் எழுதியிருக்கேன், மீதி விட்டுட்டு வந்துட்டேன். Because unfortunately all that I liked I've added here. I hope you like most of the things that I mentioned. Because நான் எவ்வளவு கொண்டு வந்திருக்கனோ அவ்வளவு I have also omitted. There are so many things about the Kuvam. This took us 14 months. First I like to thank Shashwat, Padma Priya and Vaidyanathan Ramanathan sir for having done a wonderful job. இன்னைக்கு நான் பண்றதுல 75-80% work is what they have done, especially the temple part of it. And the British chose this town for a capital. The British grew here. The empire where the sun never sets grew here. நம்ம வந்து பிரிட்டிஷ் வந்து ஒரு எதிரியா பார்க்காம we should see them as a part of history. இப்போ போன வாரம் there was a big debate. அவுரங்கசீப் வந்து பேரை மாற்றி அப்துல் கலாம் பேரை மாற்றுறப்போ அவுரங்கசீப் has gifted 3 lovely areas to Madras. Egmore, Purusavakkam, not Purusavakkam they leased. Egmore, Nungambakkam and some other important part has been gifted by a deed by Aurangzeb to Madras. So should we name a road after Aurangzeb here? So everything is a part of history. Yesterday varaikku ellame history dhaan namalukku. So when we are tabulating historical items, I think without a bias we should be seeing these things. So the British of course chose this place for a fort. They bought Madras on August 22nd and the deed was incidentally signed in a place, the Pundamalli, which is once again on the banks of the Kuvam. And they chose this place on the banks of the Kuvam. Obviously most cities are chosen next to rivers. A lot of people assume it is for the fresh water. No, it is not for the fresh water. Fresh water always comes from ponds, from rainwater catchments, other things. This is to take away the waste. So rivers will be dirtied. அது வந்து நம்ம கில்ட்டியாவே இருக்க வேண்டாம். The rivers will be dirtied. If they are perennial, it washes them away. If they are not perennial and seasonal like Kuvam, it will get dirtied. இதுல முக்கியமா வந்து 1896ல there was a German book, May's Encyclopedia, and it calls the river a small and quite dirty river. Kuvam divides Madras into rather equal halves. This was in 1896. So the river has been dirty for more than 130 years and we have been trying to clean it from 1910 onwards. There is one fabulous letter by Florence Nightingale to Napier, who was the governor of Madras, on how Madras should be cleaned, how Kuvam should be cleaned, how there should be underground drainage. These things have been happening for 120 years. So இது வந்து ஒரு dirty riverங்கிறத நம்ம மறந்துட்டு we should look at the history part of it. The river Kuvam is more than only a river. Basically water is life. I think you can hear me in this. What? Life. Without rivers there will be no human civilization. And all our civilizations have survived on banks of rivers. We talk about the Euphrates, we talk about the Nile, we talk about the Ganges, the Indus. Especially one of the important aspects in India is most of the rivers are linked to our mythology. They are gods, goddesses, daughters of gods, sisters of gods. And the question now is, in this pantheon of rivers, the Ganga runs for 2,400 kilometers. The Kaveri runs for 800 kilometers. They all have a lot of history, but A small rivulet running for 70 kilometers, can it have an equivalent history? Yes, it does. The Kuam, its heritage and history. So where exactly does the Kuam start? There is an offshoot from the Palar river, which goes into the Kaveripakam lake, and from there the Kusaskali Yar comes, and at a point, the historically famous point called Takkolam, it splits into two. One river goes via Tiruvallur and goes up to the sea in Ennur. The southern part is the Kuam. This is the satellite picture of how the river divides. And funnily, the name Kuam is very recent origins, or so it seems, because our ancient texts and Sthala talk about the river being called Pali, natural because it comes from the Palar. And there are not many water bodies in North Tamil Nadu which can be exclusive of the Palar basin. Everything has to be linked to the Palar. And the British earlier maps call it Triplicane River or the Pundamali River. And the name Kuam River starts cropping up in around 1800 in the British maps. And I would like to talk about the divinity. There is a temple called Thiruvirkolam, right almost where the river starts. That's around a kilometer. And Thiruvirkolam is a Padal Petra Sthalam in Devaram. We have a Samandar Devaram in it. And the legend with Thiruvirkolam is that Shiva, the typical, the usual story of Shiva going to destroy the Tripuram, and here he has a bow, Thiruvirkolam. He has a bow in hand. And just like the story that we have in Acharapakam, he doesn't pray to Ganesha, and the axle of there's a word in Tamil, Kubaram, I think, Kubaram, which means the axle, and Shiva staggers and falls down, and where his bow touches the ground, water spurts forward. This is a very important aspect. Just before you go into the town, where Rama's bow touches. So the legend of the bow touching the ground and water spurting forward is quite old. There are lots of legends. This exclusive temple this temple is full of deer symbolism. It's about rain. It's about Rishishringa, who is supposed to have married the daughter of, sister of Rama. Tiruvur, and plenty of mythology. And once again, Triverkad, not the Amman temple, we have a Shiva temple behind that, which has a Devaram, where Murka Nayanar, one of the 63 Nayanaras, was born. We have a legend of, this is of Kamadhenu, but Kamadhenu's daughter Nandini pouring milk from her udders on the Shiva. This is a very common legend of milk. Even Tirupati, we have the same legend. And finally, Coimbatore. Coimbatore is very well connected to Rama's children. They were born in the vicinity in Valmiki's ashram. They fought with Shatrughna for the Ashwamedha Yagam in Coimbatore, did a penance in Coimbatore, and for a lot of time this town is called as Kusanagar, probably named after Kusha. The Lava Nagar is Lahore actually. Lahore in Pakistan is named after Lava. So this pond here also has a lot of, I think this pond is shared both by the Vaishnava temple and the Shiva temple, and has a lot of legend connecting to the Rama story. This is the Kuam temple, it's a Gajaprashta temple, and there's a Devaram. When we went there last year, we had the Oduvar, he's a very well-educated Oduvar who sang the Devaram for us. And this cropped up last week. I had almost finished the presentation, and then my colleague Padma Priya called up and said, we have a fantastic find from Kuam. She was wondering, there was mentions of Buddhists and Jains in the Devaram. Samanta mentions the two, and was wondering why there are no signs of Buddhist influences in the area. And then she came up with this 8 feet tall Buddha in the standing pose, which is now in the Amaravati gallery in the Madras Museum. I don't think people are allowed to see it, but this must have been shifted in the 40s or 50s for safety. I think before the idol robbers saw it. Standing Buddhas are very rare in Tamil Nadu. I think experts will be more able to tell details about it, but standing Buddhas and in the Kuam. And this one is the Pallava inscription. I think from Pakam, I don't have the details with me. Sitrampakam. This is the first recorded evidence of a structural temple in Tamil Nadu. I don't think the temple behind could be the original temple. It has been done, redone. இது எப்படின்னா எங்க வீட்ல ஒரு 1000 வருஷ அருவாள் இருக்கு. பிளேட 10 வாட்டி மாத்திட்டோம், ஹேண்ட்ல 10 வாட்டி மாத்திட்டோம்வாங்க. அந்த மாதிரி temple keeps going, and this particular stone must have come from the old temple and has one of the oldest recorded inscriptions in Tamil Nadu. It's a Pallava inscription, and Parameshwara Varman I. This was from a book. Unfortunately, கோயில் இருந்ததுனா கல்வெட்டு இல்ல, கல்வெட்டு இருந்ததுனா கோயில் இல்ல. They are all pitfalls of the temple being very close to an urban settlement. People can afford repairs, so it's concretized. The things are removed, rebuilt. So a lot of inscriptions were not available on the temple, but we had to go to the books which had recorded them. This one is Anaikattu. This temple was built by Aditya Karikala, and it is called Aditya Mahadevan. Aditya Karikalan is an important character in Ponniyin Selvan to those who have read it. A villainish, heroish, lovable, hateable character. And there's another character, a smaller character called Parthibendra Varman. Kalki uses him as that whipping boy. Whenever he wants to scold somebody or whenever he wants to degenerate somebody, he uses Parthibendra. So they were two separate characters, and both of them have the same title. The man who got the head of Veerapandiyan. And Kalki, through the words of Periya Pazhuvettirai, in one point says, "Evlo perra ide character suthin irupinga?" Parthibendra Manta he'll ask. Because at that point, Kalki must have realized that he was wrong in creating a character called Parthivendran, because both of them were same. This temple says Parthivendran Yendra Aditya Karikalan. So they were the same character, and Kalki made a mistake, which he realized around the third book, and does some justice. Kalki nariya pannuvar. For example, Kalki introduces a character, brother of Pungozhi, called Murugayyan, who ஊமையா கொண்டு வருவார் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் புக்ல. அஞ்சாவது இதுல வந்து அவனே ஒரு 2 சாப்டர் பேசுவோம். Because there were 4-5 years separating it. So this is another mistake that Kalki must have made, and which Kuvam temple luckily tells us is wrong. And we have lots of temples, plenty of them, and this temple especially is the Perambakam. Perambakam is also a war field which was used by Hyder and the British. We will come to it later. And the temple has existed from Aditya's time, but there is a donation of Bappalu Rebachi Rautar, a Muslim. Rautar obviously Muslim, and he has done some big donation for this temple. Rautar Arunagirinather uses the word Rautan for Murugan in some Tirupugals. So Rautan is a Tamil speaking Muslim irukkalam, could be some other name also, but this is definitely an important inscription. And this one is Pichibakam. This is Colonel Rice or Collector Rice from Chengalpet, a Christian collector. He contributes to this temple and rebuilds it. So we were having a lot of different temples, and this was what I was talking about in the last speech. This is the Mappede temple, where the sponsor is honored by a statue on the Rajagopuram in the form of Ranganatha. This is Ariyanatha Mudaliyar sleeping like Ranganatha in one of the Sudai valleys. Must be recent, but must have been copied from the earlier ones. ரொம்ப small ஆளு, he must have been a megalomaniac லாம் நாங்க நினைச்சோம், but his achievements are incredible. A Kuvam boy who is orphaned at a very young age, goes to the Vijayanagar Empire, rises very fast, is sent to Madurai, builds the Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple as we see it today, builds the 1000-pillar hall. His statue is on the first pillar there on a horseback. Then he forms the 64 Palayams, which was followed by the British much later. How the Nayaks ruled Tamil Nadu was through the 64 Palayams, and Mudaliyar was one of the persons who formed it.
Can you just repeat the name of this?
Ariyanatha Mudaliyar. And these, I'm just running through the rest of the temples. Some fascinating temples in very, perhaps there was a joke saying last week, we are planning a trip next week, and there was a joke saying that this temple might not last next year. I said, I hope the temple lasts till next week trip, because the tree is around 40 feet high. This is a place called Senji, and full of Kulothunga's edicts. The temple, I think, will not last another decade. It's in a terrible condition. This is one of the other temples. This is once again the Senji temple, and this is the Sivapuram, where we find Meikirti of Rajendra. This is maintained well, and the Vimanam, if you see, is a stone Vimanam, which has survived the weight. Structurally, it has survived for 1,000 years. It is not brick, it is stone. And all over Kuvam's banks is dotted by statues like this. Orphaned statues with no roof above their heads, no prayer, something. It's very odd. We find these temples. We have so many lingams around Thiruverkadu, which have nothing above their heads, and it gives you a very sad feeling when such temples you see, and a lot of temples which are about to fall. This is a temple, I hope you can see this. A lot of temples are in good shape also. This one is one of my favorite photographs. If you see, we wanted to see the temple and the guy was having the keys, gave us the keys, நீங்களே போய் திறந்து பாருங்க. So it is me who is opening the keys, and Vaidyanathan sir வந்து இப்படி பார்த்து தற்செயலா வெயில் guy is shading this eyes. It looks as if he is on the lookout for somebody. I am opening the temple. So let's come to battles. History is always determined by battles. And we have lots of battles along the Coom River. The most important ones are where the river starts. There's a huge field there with a couple of rivers cutting across. We have the Thakolam, we have the Perambakam, and we have Pulalur. 3 towns that still retain their names. 4 major battles that I want to talk about here. The first one was between Pulikesi and Mahendra, 7th century. And of course Mahendra lost and went back into Kanchi and survived a siege. This is the area. So all the battles were happening here, and we can't pinpoint where a battle happened because armies would be big. So this area must have been where the hostilities took place. Pulikesi and Mahendra. Then we have the Thakolam war, Rajaditya and Krishna III. This was also one thing that the Cholas lost. Rajaditya was killed. Of recent, we got news that one temple could possibly be the Pallipadai of Rajaditya, but it's not confirmed in that area. But of course, when somebody dies in that area, it's logical that you build the Pallipadai there. And the 2 Carnatic wars. The British have never been thrashed as much as they were in Pulalur. The first battle, 1780, and that was when Tipu and Hyder replaced the bamboo in the rockets with iron. So it could fly faster, and the British really were wiped out in that one war. But they came back again. 1781, it was almost a balanced war, but then since they lost a lot of their supplies, the British actually went up to Tirupasur. So Hyder Ali claims it that it is his victory. My friend Shashwat has a wonderful theory on the winner always coming from the same direction. He says those who came from the north always won in this battle. Say whether it was Pulikesi or whether it was Krishna or the Mysore armies. I think it must have been the slope or something where you couldn't take the cannon or the artillery uphill. So I think we are going to do a lot of research on that this year. This was the Pulalur war, this painting of Pulalur 1 and the rockets. And these 2 fascinating obelisks are there. These are for 2 British officers who died there in in the war. And there. So they were Hillsop and Brown. And coincidentally, the other end of the river, we talked about where the river starts. Now the river where it ends, where it joins the sea. That was the only place in India where World War I was fought. The M10 bombed Madras on the north bank of the Coom, which is incidentally on the north bank of Coom. And we have other wars. The French took the Fort St. George almost 2-3 times. So they must have crossed, they must have fought across the Coom. We don't have too many details about it. But then, incidentally, where the Thakolam battle was fought is where the CISF has its camp right now. We also have Avadi where tanks are made. So this river has a very big martial history. The tanks, most of the tanks in India have been made in Avadi. There was this theory that Nehru wanted all the factories to be in south so that they could not be bombed. So I am going to go along. So this is about what we talked about was the rural part of the Coom. That is about the 50 kilometers, and where it enters Pundamalli and into Madras is where Coom really got famous, the British history. So I'm going to talk about 4 or 5 spots which are my favorites, which have a lot of history on them, which have culturally affected us or historically affected us. So the WCC College. We start with the WCC College on College Road. The College Road is not named after WCC. If you look at this portico, this is for an elephant to come in with the howdah on top. So this is the Doughton House, which is still being used as headquarters of WCC, Women's Christian College. So I'm going to talk about this guy called Malhar Rao Gaikwad. Malhar Rao's elder brother was the king of Baroda. Baroda has a lot of connections with Madras. We'll come to that later. So what the elder brother dies without a heir, his wife is actually pregnant. And this guy who was actually in jail put in jail by his elder brothers is made the king. He is, let's say, a tyrant. And at many points the British want to take him off. He is very clear that the British want to take him off, and so he tries a very novel way to poison the British resident. Diamond powder. He makes diamond powder, mixes it in a sharbat and leaves it on this guy's table. The resident drinks two sips, falls, almost he feels something is wrong, then he feels bad and he throws away the cup. So finally what happens is, later when the court case comes, the resident is asked, why did you throw away a possible evidence? He says, that I may be tempted to take another sip. It was so nice, perhaps. And what he does is, he falls sick, and then the man is arrested. There's a trial. 3 British and 3 Indians are on the trial, and 2 of them are Maharajas. He is convicted on a split verdict, and they decide to deport him to Madras. So he comes to Madras and dies in obscurity in WCC. He stays in this building, builds a monkey house and a bandstand, something like that, and stays and vanishes into this. But his memory is not lost. We have a dramatist, Amritlal Basu, who is related to Tagore, putting up one of the earlier dramas called Hirak Churna, Diamond Dust. He criticizes the British for being unfair to a king, and this drama goes on in Calcutta and other parts of Bengal very famously. British have a grudge against him but keep quiet, and the next year when he does another play, they arrest him on terms of obscenity and put him in jail. The British never forget. So the next people who were hostages in the same place were Tipu's sons. Tipu loses the 4th Carnatic War, and his 2 sons are sent as hostages to Madras with Doughton, and they once again stay on College Road. Tipu has a lot of history along with the Coombe, his battles, his children, and even if you go to the museum which is along the Coombe, you will find a lot of his cannons, all his cannons surrounding the main museum. And this is a very interesting character, Thibaw, the last king of Burma. The British are brilliant, you have to give it to them. They capture the last king of Burma and send him to India. They capture the last king of India and send him to Burma. They are brilliant, and he is exiled in Ratnagiri in Karnataka, in Maharashtra. And on the way to Ratnagiri, he stays in College Road for a year. His last daughter is born in Madras, called Mudarasu Princess. She was one of the very few people who went back to Burma after he died. So Thibaw stayed in College Road for almost a year before he was moved to Ratnagiri. I think the British thought that Burma Madras route was very easy to go back to. And the next one is the college, which gives College Road the name. The British, as Gopu would be able to tell you, I don't think Gopu has talked about Ellis here, so most of you would have heard about his Ellis lecture there elsewhere. The British at one point decide that they need to learn the local languages. Tamil, Telugu, Kannadam, Urdu, they need to learn. And Ellis is the person, Ellis, a Tamil poet by himself, who writes a May Kirti for a British emperor. It is one of the fantastic pieces of poetry that you see in Madras. And Ellis decides that people should be taught. He gets poets and teachers and pundits from all over, makes the British get educated in the local languages. And he puts up, the British put up one of the oldest libraries in India today, the Lending Library. And this arch, if you see, this arch is on the river. College Road, you see one arch on the main road, one on the river. So the governor of Madras, who was living in Rajaji Hall, would come by boat every convocation day and give the degrees in Madras College and go back the same way. So this is totally inaccessible. You can't see, this has been shot from the other bank actually. And not everybody was happy about these pundits coming here. And this is a Telugu poet. I'll get to Chellapilla Venkata Sastri, my namesake. He writes, this is a Telugu poem, this is a translation. They now read, this is about the other Telugu poets who are working in the college. They now read proofs at printing shops just to stay alive, or teach Telugu to the white Huns, expound religion in the houses of those grocers who give them credit. And the Dharmi character now or the the grocers is a very important point. Phenomenal scholars have been humbled. Times have changed. Upon the Company Bahadur, it was called. East India Company was called the Company Bahadur. It had replaced all the kings. There were no funders for poets or intellectuals. Everybody had to survive on, and this was the British didn't really bother about poetry or psychophancy. They wanted them to come and teach like teachers. And these are the jobs that Telugu poets were doing to survive. And this is a wonderful library in Madras Literary Society. The path everybody asked, sir, Maunaragathula varume adana. This actually used to come in that movie, Maniratham's movie. And one of the oldest lending libraries in the country today is still active. And they have, in fact, an architect called Sundari is very actively involved in, she is conducting a movement sort of thing where you can go contribute time or money to restore all these books. You can go, you can bind books, you can do, I think some of these people went there last week. And let's come to the zoo. So most of us after 70s or 80s, the zoo is in Vandalur. Earlier it was in People's Park. But one of the earliest zoos started around the museum grounds. So we have a character called Balfour. Balfour is a statistician, he is a health guy, his all odd jobs he does in East India Company. But he becomes the curator of the Madras Museum, 1850s. This is how it looked in the 1900s, early 1900s. So, this one important thing about Balfour was, we were all heard about these words, Weir College, Setta College. And we say it's Madras Christian College or Stanley, it's not, it's about the museum. The dead and the living were on the same site. So, what Balfour did was, he created a zoo around this. And unlike other people, he pulled up his chair and counted the number of people coming in. So one day he would remove a cheetah, count the number of people coming in. The next day he would remove a deer and replace the cheetah and do. He was doing a statistical study on zoological parks. This is the first recorded study on any visitors to a zoological park. And by controlling the variables, he cross-verified and he published a paper. And this was all in the 1850s. So, and the Nawab of Carnatic, to whom he was very closely associated, had a private zoo and a lot of things. For a long time, I don't think I have seen a giraffe in the Madras Museum. I think they have one in Mandalore now. There was a giraffe here, a baboon, a cheetah, and lots of birds. And an aquarium existed here till 1890, and supposed to be one of the best aquariums in the world. And till the rest of them were moved into People's Park. But that was also a Kuam property across the Kuam. And what is a place, or what is the history of a place without the buildings? What is Madras? So whenever I see a red color building in Madras, I think of two people or three people. I think of Shilsam, I think of Nambarmal Chetty, and I think of Irving. Why are all of Nambarmal Chetty's buildings red? So there's a joke that he owned a lot of brick kilns in Cholemede and used to transport the bricks. Most of his buildings are by the Kuam. So bricks were transported along the Kuam. And because he owned a brick kiln, that is the facade he gave every building. So any red color building, standard I can tell, it is designed by Chisholm or Irving and done by Nambarmal Chetty. So the Senate House. This was the first, Senate House in Madras University, was the first architectural competition ever held in India. The prize was a princely sum of 3,000 rupees. There were 17 entries and Chisholm wins it. So immediately he is transferred to the Madras University, Madras government and asked to do this building. This is an Indo-Saracenic building with Islamic and Hindu features in it. Romba Hindu features irukadu. Adukkaga or 40 feet height la, you have all these small statues. Nataraja you have, Muruga you have. Madras University you can see at 30-40 feet. Most of these statues have been added to give that Hindu effect. So talking about Nambarmal Chetty, he was the biggest builder in Madras, the first Indian to own a car. He was a billionaire by today's standards. He owned 99 houses in Madras. Perhaps Chetpet is named after him and his cousins. And most importantly, he didn't buy the 100th house because his astrologer said that if you buy a 100th house, you will die. So he stopped with 99 houses. He was the richest man in Madras, obviously. He had his own brick kilns. He imported wood from Maulmein. He had his own formula for cement. Most of these buildings were not built with today's cement. He had his own formula for cement, which is still, we don't know what it was. But these buildings have been standing for 120 years. So must have been. If you look at Kanimara Library, Victoria Memorial Hall, Bank of Madras, High Court, Law College, everything was done by Nambarmal Chetty. But one small human factor about Nambarmal Chetty that we need to know is the mathematician Ramanujan. I think Nambarmal Chetty must have been a close friend of the Port Trust chairman Spring, who, I think the connection is the car, because he was the first man to own the car and this guy was the first Indian to own a car. And Green was one of the, Spring was one of the people who identified Ramanujam in the very early days as a good mathematician. And Ramanujam comes sick and dying from England. And Nambarmal Chetty treats him like his son, and in his house called Cryant in Harrington Road, makes him stay. One trivia about that stay is, somebody tells or Ramanujan feels on his own, the name of the house has the word cry. So na inga irukka maten, he says. So Gometranungra adutha vittukku he transfers. He has so many houses empty. He transfers, but unfortunately Ramanujam dies under Nambarmal Chetty's custody. So Chilsam builds a lot of buildings. Chilsam, another thing that we should mention right now is, most of you would have seen Thirumalai Nayak Mahal in Madurai. Inniki present structure has been done by Chilsam. It has fallen, the roof had fallen down, the pillars were all cracked, there was nothing, and it was a Madras governor who sent Chilsam there, go and repair it. He has a fascinating 2-3 year stay there in which it repairs. And his later history ellaam pathina, Baroda, once again the Baroda connection comes. We'll just go back to Baroda now. Baroda la vandu Lakshmi Vilas Palace, there's a palace built, and suddenly the architect commits suicide, saying that he doesn't know how he's going to finish this. So Chilsam is sent from here to Baroda, and that's a Baroda connection that we have with Madras. The two other Baroda connections that I like to talk about is, there was a big house called Baroda House behind the Nilgiris on RK Sale. Venkat Raghavan, the cricket player, used to come from that house. There was a Diwan of, his grandfather was a Diwan of Baroda. Another story which is not directly linked with the Kuam, but once again about Baroda, is 1930s. You would have all Moyes Gate Road and Alwarpet, Maharaja Surya Road, Chinnambal Road, that has become Chinnamma Road now. They have a daughter who is very beautiful, who is already married to a Zamindar, has 3 kids. When the Gaikwad of Baroda comes here, falls in love with her during the races in Madras Race Club and marries her. She becomes a Muslim, divorces her husband, then becomes a Hindu again to marry the Gaikwad. At that point, bigamy is illegal in Baroda, but the king said that is only for the subjects, not for me. And Baroda at that one point has some of the best jewels in the world, and she's called Sita Devi, and I think that was her name, and her jewel collection rivaled those of the Duchess of Windsor. Upon later days, she went and settled in Switzerland, and a lot of the jewels of Baroda went with her. And Nehru and Patel actually said that they were talking to the Swiss government to seize the jewels and send them back to India. Some of them came back, most of them did not. They started surfacing in Sotheby's auctions in 70s and 80s, big ones. We're talking about emeralds the size of pigeon eggs and used as paperweights. We are talking about pearls the size of arm fistfuls. So the Baroda connection. And then next I will come to the aviator. Most of you would have seen the Bata building. Bata building on Mount Road. This was once a fantastic hotel that would have rivaled even Kanimara, the De Angelis Hotel. You can't go today because the roof is fallen in, and they are trying to demolish this. The De Angelis Hotel, De Angelis was a Corsican guy from the same place that Napoleon was born. He came to Madras, he was a baker. Soon in 5-10 years, he became a very big man in Madras, was supplying to the governor of Madras. And he was a technologically oriented man. The first lift in Madras came in this building, first running hot water, the first Italian tiles, but he didn't stop with that. He had a small secret hobby, flying. The Wright brothers had just flown a plane in 1903, but this guy was already dreaming about his own plane. And just when a Frenchman, this was the hotel, and just when a Frenchman crossed the English Channel, a plane had been built in Madras. The first trial was in Pallavaram, and finally he had a huge gathering in island grounds right in the middle of the Kuam, where the plane took off. So there is one story about this. It's a fascinating story, but we can't really corroborate it. What happens is, the first flight, Murchoni, he comes down, asks for a volunteer from the crowd. Come on, come with me in this 2-seater plane. First everybody says no, they are afraid of flying. Nobody's flown. Less than a handful have flown in the world. Apra Vasan, that boy is a friend of Bharatiya. He volunteers. Everybody says, hey, Ukkarra, he'll kill you. But he decides to go and goes over the sea, Bay of Bengal, and takes a turn and comes back. This is written about by Bharati himself in the India Patrika from Pondicherry. So we have a very powerful man writing about it. So we think it should be true. And the original Savoy Hotel in Ooty, was started by Angelus. He wanted to give it to his daughter, but his daughter eloped with a French baker. So they had some this, and he existed in India till 40s, sold it to Bosoto, then it became the airport hotel, then it became Bata. I think now they're going to knock it off and make some other office complex. And we will come to Dramatis. What is culture without literature, poetry or drama? So the culture of a place is determined by people who try to establish literary, dramatic. This is Pammal Sambandha Mudaliyar, known by the famous, the movie that Kamal made. A lot of movies Kamal made were about dramatists, Avvaishan Mugi or Pammal Sambandha Mudaliyar. He is a lawyer, became a judge in his later years. His greatest achievement was reforming the Kabalishwar temple. He was one of the last trustees of the Kabalishwar temple. He and his family spent a lot of money buying out people who had occupied the temple properties. I think he started that, laying the steps for the temple pond with the donors named etched on it. He did a lot of work. But here we are seeing him for his love in theatre. Born in Pammal, he had a lot of interest in dramatics and he read a lot of Shakespeare. And he wanted to start his drama. He saw a Telugu drama and then wanted to start his own drama troupe, the Suguna Vilas Sabha. Kavitha Tenji Kattanumana Madri, Suguna Vilas Sabha drama potu, then they leased it out to a theatre and finally City Club Edge. It's become a club where you play cards right now. But when he was in the helm, it was mostly in Victoria Public Hall. Victoria Public Hall, once again by Chilsam and once again by Nambermal Chetty. The building still exists and used to have a lot of theatre activities. And this is where he did a lot of Shakespeare plays in Tamil. இவரோட ஒரு கம்பல்சரி அப்போ வந்து டிராமாக்காரன்னா கூத்தாடி அப்படின்றாங்க. There was no what do you call respect for a drama an actor. So this was the time he ensured the respect came to theatre. He made only graduates act and to enforce and tell the audience that only graduates were acting. The screen வரும்ல, the curtainல வந்து Senate House of Madras University will come. At one point, ஒரு petty king in Andhra lends 20,000 rupees for the repair of this building, which the trustees think is a gift. It was not a gift, it was a loan. அவர் ஒரு வருஷம் கழிச்சு திருப்பி காசை கேட்டப்ப these people did not have the money to repay. அப்ப he does a series of plays, collects the money and saves this building from going into a private hand. I'm just mentioning a few dramas from his, and I like you to identify the Shakespearean play it was translated from. விரும்பியது விரும்பியபடி. அப்பா, everybody got it. வாணிபுரத்து வணிகன். Venice. ஜுவாலிட்டா ரமணன். ஜுவாலிட்டா ரமணன். Everybody stumbles on this. ஜுவாலிட்டா ரமணன். Romeo Juliet. Jwalita Ramanan, the nearest Tamil name he was using. And Amaladityan. Hamlet. Amaladityan was a total flop. But நிறைய இடத்துல சொல்றாங்க சார் கதை ஹிட் ஆனா படம் ஃப்ளாப் அப்படிமானுங்க. அந்த மாதிரி கதை became a hit and this evolved into Manohara and Manohara launched the careers of many people. So his impact on Tamil theatre is very high. He did something like 90 plays. Mr. Muthaiya says it's more than 100 actually. A lot of plays and or legitimacy or respect for theatre. Then Suguna Vilas Sabha moves to the building next to Cosmopolitan Club. And at one point they are not able to survive because the movies have come in. So they built up a theatre called Plaza and rent it out. And Plaza flops. Now it exists as a club where you can play cards, you have a swimming pool, you have a bar. So it exists in a totally different form. So there are several things that I should talk about when I am talking about the Kuvam. I have left a few, but I like to talk about the Dubashas. The Dubashas survived along the banks of the Kuvam. The Dubashas were basically translators who became all powerful. Kings had to wait outside their rooms to get the permission to meet the company people. Dubash is basically Dobash, one who knows 2 languages. And a lot of Mudaliyars who had the ability to learn English and Tamil and Telugu became very powerful people. Pacheva Mudaliyar, of course, a man who is always linked with the Kuvam. There is one statement of Pacheva Mudaliyar which says that I used to go have a bath in the Kuvam daily morning and then go to the Komalishwaram temple. Komalishwaram temple, in fact, some people feel could have been corrupted to the word Kuvam because the Kuvam was a name given by the British. Though temple historians say that the word Kugam, Kubaram, Kugam comes in Devaram. The British were drawing the maps in Madras. There's a very little chance that they could have gone up 70 kilometers to pick up a name from Tiruvirkola. So Komalishwaram has a very good chance of giving a name to Kuvam. It might be a coincidence. So we have Pachepa, we have Sumkurma, we have Lingichetti, and we have another fascinating character called, who is not linked with the Kuvam, must have worked along it, but there is a road in his name in Pursavakam, Avadanam Papaya. He has something to his credit that is incredible. He is the villain of a Walter Scott novel. Walter Scott writes a novel, The Surgeon's Daughter, in which he has a Dubash from Madras, Pursavakam, as the main villain. So, Dubash has made a lot of money. The typical joke is the Britisher used to say, tell this fellow to pay 5 rupees. And he would say, Dora one 6 rupees kodukku solraru. So the 1 rupee was always, and Pachepa at his peak was lending to the Sarfojis of Tanjore, were lending to the Nawabs. And Pachepa in fact rebuilt the east tower of Chidambaram as we see today. There is a statue of him and his sister, who also happened to be his mother-in-law. Pachepa Mudalayar also wrote one of the first earliest wills in Madras, wills in India. And a will, the total quantity was 11 lakhs. That was in 1800. 1790, 11 lakhs he donates for temples. And one of the most contested wills. For 46 years, because British were supposed to finish cases very fast, not like today. And for 46 years, people, his relatives, the people, his community, everybody fought over it like they just like a piece of meat. And finally, the British, I think it was Norton, who after whom the Norton Road in Mandavali, he partitioned 7 lakhs for temples and 4 lakhs for education. And the education level, you see all these Pachepa College, Elamal College, everything comes up. Pachepa's house must have been somewhere in Pudupet. Chindadiripet was a place for textile. It was a export processing zone sort of thing where the British settled weavers. The road was straight out, Chinnathiripete. Road on the peninsula Madi. The Kuvam will go on 3 sides. The roads will be straight and you will have people, weavers settling. And Chindadiripet, for in fact, the British, except for the Agraharam, settled people of different castes and different religions next to each other. For the first time perhaps in Tamil Nadu, people were living next to somebody who was not from their caste or religion. So the next grade of Indians, the upper middle class and the higher class, who had made billions, wanted to move to a better area and move to the Pudupet. Pudupet, the Komalishwaram temple you can find. And the CPM, it is Kanjivaram, C for Kanjivaram, Kanjivaram Pachepa Mudalayar, CPM street, is somewhere where his house must have been. There are some other interesting characters in Pudupet we will talk about when we run through. So once again, I would like to stop about this detailed descriptions of the Kuvam monuments. I'll run through some 20 items, 20 slides, a small story about each of them, to show you the variety of experiences that this dirty river gives us. The Kuvam once had a crocodile in it. You wouldn't believe. Today it would be suffocated, and you have this stuffed specimen in the Madras Museum. I think this must have been caught in 1900. I don't think anything would have survived after 1900. And this is Swami Nayak. You can find a statue in Pudupet. Just after you cross Harris Bridge, on the right side you will have an Abin parlor. You will find Swami Nayak. Swami Nayak comes in many notes of the East India Company where kings and the East India Company talk. But he is known as the vaccinator of Madras. He is somebody who believed that vaccination could save lives. Inni vaccination injection kadayadu. You have to slit open the flesh, put that inoculum inside, and then seal it with the plaster. And this people, I'm talking about 18th century, people were scared. So there were a group of Armenians. Armenians were a very dominant part in Madras society then. They have the Armenian church and they have the Armenian cemetery. And the Armenians thought this guy was doing black magic. So everybody, they trapped him and beat him blue. But he never stopped vaccination till he died. He believed in so much in vaccination that vaccination could save lives. So this is something for history people. All the pictures for Ponniyin Selvan were drawn on the banks of the Kuvam. I had to confirm this with Maniyam Selvam last week. He said, because the Kalki office was on the other side of the Kuvam banks, we had to take it across. So many of us came into history because of Kalki and Maniyam sketches. So I think it is very, we have details about Aditya Karigala on the other end and we have Maniyam sketches here. I think we will, Sriram of Madras Musings, he he openly accused me of trying to link everything to the Kuvam. எதை பார்த்தாலும் நீ கூவத்தோட லிங்க் பண்ண ட்ரை பண்ற அப்படின்னாரு. விட்டா ஆடம் அண்ட் ஈவையும் கொண்டு வந்து சேர்த்துருவேன் அப்படின்னாரு. அப்போதான் we got this fascinating item that the Vatican had used the Kuvam river to separate Madras as Mylapore and Madras dioceses. So people had to exchange churches. Ritchie Street or church had to go to that side, that's the side. Then I called Sriram and said, this year we have come up to the Pope. Next year we'll catch Adam and Eve somehow. So I have dropped. And the first, this is a different picture, this is more symbolic. The first Indian car. The first Asian plane was made on the banks of the Kuvam. The first Indian car was made in Simpsons, 1903. It was made in Simpsons on the banks of the Kuvam. And the newspapers hailed it as, it's going to be it's a prophetic thing. They said that it's going to be a very big industry for Madras. This is the art gallery, once again built by Nambarmal Chetty, but it's red. This will look like a story. Perhaps Sriram was right also. We checked up, there was a Ravi Verma painting. So we kept talking about the Ravi Verma painting everywhere. There's Ravi Verma, the only Ravi Verma painting is in Madras Art Gallery in Egmore on the banks of the Kuvam. Then finally, I go into the website. The son of Ravi Verma, also called Ravi Verma, drew a painting of his father Ravi Verma. It was not actually Ravi Verma's painting, but a painting of Ravi Verma by his son, which is in art gallery. Nobody is allowed to go in because of the falling structure today. My friend Gopu would be very interested today. The Congress, All India Congress Committee has met in Madras 8 times, 8 or 9 times. 5 times it met on the banks of the Kuvam. Till the last one, not the last one is Marimali Nagar. 1955 Nehru came, this is Avadi. So WCC they have met, Avadi they have met, Spur Tank Road they have met, Greaves Road. Greaves Road there is one small story which Karthik Bhatt proposed last year. He said there were 1,000 lights lit in the Congress meeting. So another 1,000 lights. There is also another theory that the mosque had 1,000 lights. That's what I said. Gopu is going to be very interested. Dirty politics starting near the Kuvam. And the Elephantstone Theatre. Elephantstone Theatre, that is, it was exactly opposite where you have the Anna statue on Mount Road. Elephantstone then went into a very degeneration and was knocked off for some office complex. I think Kivraj is there. One important thing about the Elephantstone Theatre, which is also Kuvam side building, is that for the duration of the World War II, daily one show, the money was sent to the war effort. One show, they spent it for the war effort. And the world's largest funeral was held on the banks of the Kuvam. 1.5 crore people attended the funeral of Annadurai, 15 million. 1.5 crore, which the Guinness Book of Records still states, along with Nazar, it states as the largest funeral ever attended, was on the banks where the river joins with the estuary. And this church you would have seen in Egmore. It's a Scottish church. Indian Tamil mass kadayadu. They have only in English. Kirk, it's called the Kirk. And that dome that you see is a beautiful dome. The roof is made of blue, is made of ground seashells and lapislazuli, blue color it is sent. And we came across a very interesting thing in this website. The Madras Christian College started as a kindergarten in this church and then moved to Paris, the Black Town, and then went there. The website of the Madras Christian College, of course, doesn't say this, but the church mentions this. So it's still under debate. I think with a little time we could find out whether that is true. This is a very fascinating character, Kumaran. Kumaran, unfortunately, was the last person hanged by the British in India on charges of sedition. He was hanged in the Madras jail and buried in the Oteri. This, the last letter is fascinating. You can find it on the net. Kumaran was an INA person. He landed on a submarine in Kerala, was brought here. It was a mistrial and he got into the wrong judge. Everybody else was acquitted and he and a Muslim gentleman were hanged. And his letter to his brother, which never reached him before he was hanged, is a very nice letter. In sparkling handwriting, he says, I will swing to the other side of the world on so and so day. He is buried in an orphan's grave or unknown grave in the Oteri. But the Madras jail has had a lot of people. It has had Savarkar, it has had Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. A lot of history was in the jail, which was surrounded by the river on all sides. This is Kripabai Satyanathan, who I talked about in the last meeting also. She wrote the first Indian novel in English by a lady. This was, I'm talking about 1870s. And she comes from Ahmednagar. to join the Madras Medical College, which is also a Coombe building. All these people have their entire lives to intertwined with the river. They work, they die, they born, they achieve something on the banks of the river. So Madras Medical College, she joins the college and she comes first in the year, first year. Madras Medical College admitted women before other medical colleges in the world. We had women coming from UK to study here just because they wanted to be doctors. The first woman MD in the world did her MBBS in Madras Medical College, once again a Coombe building. So Kripa Bai tops the class in the first year, but unfortunately she contracts TB and she is not allowed to finish the course. She's chucked out of the college. She can't go back home. So she crosses the river and takes refuge. She's already converted Christian. And on the Zion Church. I think I have a picture of the Zion Church. It's a beautiful church. The Zion Church. The Zion Church in Chindadripet. Satyanathan, the pastor is there. She lives there for some time. She falls in love with the pastor's son. Then he asks her, "If talented why can't you do something with your life? Why are you wasting your life? What do I do?" And then he tells her, "Write." And she writes Saguna, the first Indian novel in English by a lady. She writes 2 novels, but unfortunately she dies very young. At 32 she dies. And this bust in marble is in that temple. This temple in this church, and this church also has the oldest piano or the organ in Madras. இது என்ன தெரியுதா? It's a lightning conductor, perhaps the oldest lightning conductor in Madras. It is next to the Napier's Bridge, which was earlier called the Iron Bridge. Old people in Madras still call it the Iron Bridge. The iron is still beneath the concrete. So iron always attracts lightning. So this lightning, you can still see this lightning conductor. When you come from the war memorial, this will be on your left, just before the bridge starts, opposite the island grounds. So Varsha, the Ennan Theriyame, people are painting it, and the story of the Tyagabhumi. Tyagabhumi was a novel written by Kalki. Kalki, it's about, not much about the freedom movement, it's more about women emancipation. The woman gets up in court in a divorce case and says, "I will pay the money to my husband. He need not pay me anything." And the மாதிரி ஒரு character. அதில் ஒரு காங்கிரஸ் சீன், ஸ்மால் சீன் வரும். காந்தியோட ஒரு மாண்டேஜ் வந்து கடைசியில் வந்து தலையாட்டுற மாதிரி ஒரு கார்ட்டூன் மாதிரி didn't. Nothing else to amount to sedition. But Congress government இங்க இருந்தப்ப, some people say it was for the second time that the movie was released, not the first time it was released. Gaiety Theatre, which should have celebrated its centenary last year, a Coombe building. This was released there. Tyagabhumi was released there. Papanasam Sivan was the music director as well as the hero. I think that achievement was not repeated for a long time till K. Rajendra came. The music director and the hero being the same. I think G.V. Prakash will be doing that. So Papanasam Sivan. So this movie it runs for some few days. Then suddenly the Congress government resigns. The first thing that the British government does is to ban this movie. So Kalki, Subramaniam and the owner Chimbaram Chettiar of Gaiety, they sit together. Till we get the ban order, it is technically not a ban. The ban order நம்ம கையில் போட்டு கையில் வாங்கியிருக்கணும். So run the movie free. So the movie was run free for a day and a half, 24 hours. And people rushed to see it because it was going to be banned. And the police come in with the ban order. There's a lathi charge, there's a fight or tallumullu. I think Madras was relatively a peaceful place for the British. Their hold was very firm. I think one of the biggest shows of dissidence against the British was held in Gaiety Theatre on the banks of the Coombe when the Tyagabhumi was banned. This is the Dargah of a Iraqi saint who travelled from Baghdad. This is next to Higginbotham's, 400 years. But unfortunately, there are no mentions of this Dargah in the Nawab of Arcot's records. So the age is being challenged, but it's a very important building along the Coombe. Some place where a religious man would settle. So I thought I should mention this. And this is the Zion Church again. And this is the Philatelic Bureau opposite Cosmopolitan Club. This was the Warwick Theatre. இப்போ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கூட உள்ள உங்களுக்கு தியேட்டர் தெரியும். You go in where you have the stamp exhibition, you can see the theatre. One of the earliest theatres, 1911 or something. This is not the oldest. There was another in Popham's Broadway. This theatre ran for a couple of years. It was the Electric Theatre, it was called. In the theatre வந்ததுக்கு அப்புறம், I think this is what established all the theatres of Madras to come in that area. For sometimes if you wanted to watch a movie, you had to go to Mount Road. இதில் கிடைக்கலன்னா அதை பார்க்கலாம். If you come to Kamadan in Madras, கிடைக்கலன்னா திருப்பி Mount Road போகணும். So this established the theatre culture of Mount Road. So till recent, theatres have been coming up. We had Gaiety, we had Casino. Casino, in fact, was a theatre started by Parsis, who had an ice factory, and somebody who was holding another theatre in Madras, a theatre in Madras started an ice factory, போட்டி அவன் ஆரம்பிச்சான். So அவன் நம்மளுக்கு போட்டி வந்திருக்கான், நம்ம அவனுக்கு போட்டி ஆரம்பிக்கணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு they started casino. So a lot of fascinating stories behind theatres. If you observe, lot of theatres, lot of clubs, lot of colleges were all on the banks of the Kuam. This is what I would call, or my friend Shashwat would call, mystery of the missing river. There were two rivers, the Kuam, which is not shown in the plan, and the Elambur river. Elambur might have been the Egmore. It was also called, this actually the river first flowed into the Fort St. George, and then it flowed outside as the moat of the Fort St. George, and at one point the British linked both the rivers. The Elambur river vanished and we had an island. The island grounds was formed after these two rivers were linked. And of course, you'll have the bodyguard Munishwara temple and the bodyguard mosque. This is a misconception that Vandiyoda body protect பண்றாரு அதனால bodyguard, but actually the governor's bodyguard was staying where we have the high specialty hospital today. And the Muslims used to go to the bodyguard mosque, which we can see from the Chindadripet MRT station. And the Hindus used to come to this bodyguard Munishwara Alayam. And this is the Chindadripet. This is one of the earlier how Sunkurma Chetty starts the Chindadripet. The river goes on all three sides of Chindadripet. It was started as a textile town. The British did not want to travel far and wide to collect muslin and other cloths, so they wanted the weavers to come and settle. So this is where they started, and we have two temples there, built Binami Madi, funded by the East India Company, built by a Dubash. The twin temples, a Vishnu temple and a Shiva temple, and this is where another important thing I'll tell you is the Kadamba Maram, which is very important in Hinduism. Madurai, there's only one Kadamba tree in Madras. It is within the Shiva temple here. Higginbotham's, one of the oldest bookshops, one of the largest bookshops surviving today, was started by a stowaway. A man who could not afford his ship ticket hid in the coal chambers and traveled all the way from England to along the Cape of Good Hope, came into Madras and started his book, worked in a bookshop and started a bookshop. Then he later became a sheriff of Madras too. And Kanimara Hotel, a Kuam site building, they are growing, there was a press release the other day that they are growing organic vegetables. How can anything on the banks of Kuam not be organic? So they have a vegetable. So next time you order a vegetarian dish in Kanimara, be careful. It has been grown on the banks of the Kuam. So Kanimara Hotel is not like, though the name sounds like that, it is not a British started hotel. It was a Mudaliar started hotel. It was taken up by Spencer's in the middle and later by the British. Could you imagine somebody handing out a bill like this to anybody coming out of Madras Club? When they go hotel, you have people like this in Madras Central Station. Please stay in the hotel. And the Kanimara Hotel, this handbill was printed and given out on Mount Road. So it says a minute's walk from Madras Club. Madras Club was in where Express Avenue or Express Estate was there. A newly established hotel, decently furnished, and in short, nothing is wanting to constitute it a real first-class hotel. Excellent, table guaranteed, a trial solicited. Special terms for long periods, ice and hot baths free. So this is for Kanimara Hotel. And the MMC. MMC was the second oldest medical college in India. It was just 1 week younger to the Calcutta Medical College. The legend is that the Kalvettu date of establishment was made on the same day in Calcutta. It took time to come here, but of course academic years was same. And this was one of the first colleges to admit women in the world. A lot of women doctors, top doctors, traveled from Europe to come and study here and do their MDs later there. And important thing is the first medical certificate in the world was issued here. It was not for a student cutting or bunking classes. It was for a politician who wanted to avoid going to jail. So this certificate, Madras Medical College issued a certificate for him so that he did not go to jail, and that was produced in court. So with that, I have come to a partial description of the buildings and history of Kuam. This you should remember is a cartography, a mapping things. We don't go too much into details, and a lot of information that we have already been done by experts earlier. Some of the experts are sitting here, and these are all information that we have gathered from their work. A lot of these photographs have been taken by members of the group, and it is a very collective effort. This is to talk over 14 months. A lot of us have been going after any detail about the Kuam. We have been anything small, even a tidbit, We have been assembling it in one Facebook page. You can visit us at Kuvama Cultural Mapping. We have a lot of details on that, and we do organize a lot of trips to Kuvamsai. We have organized walks. There's only one more walk. We are going to do a Pantheon Road walk in a couple of months. We will be putting it up on the group, and we have trips to Kuvam temples on the Kuvam side to look at temples which may not be with us for a long time because they're in very terrible conditions. But I would like to say one thing. The primary ambition of this project was to add respectability to the river, was to remove a stigma from it, to make it like one of us, which could reflect our culture, our past, or loyalty to be developed to the river, so that we will treat it better. The river has always been dirty, you don't have to be guilty about it, but there are ways perhaps that we could, in the near future, with the new technologies available, perhaps we could reform this river into what it really deserves. So the motto of the organization is, perhaps if we know it better, we treat it better. So I think a lot of us here, I hope you knew the river better than what you came in with. Thank you.
It's been an excellent journey, I mean very fascinating journey for the last 1.5 years, as Venkatesh was mentioning earlier. And we knew only very little about the Kuvam when we started this journey. But then as we went along, I was just sharing with Vallabha some time ago that so far we have been able to document about 140 temples along the river Kuvam. So it's 60 kilometers, so 140 temples on an average is a little over 2 temples per kilometer. So, and we have only been mapping all those temples which are at least a few hundred years old, if not more. So it just goes to say what kind of a civilization has existed there, how much of, you know, the people have flourished there, how many things have happened around the river. I mean, each temple's, you know, the history or the mythology, the inscriptions that we have been seeing there has been a total revelation to us, and we have enjoyed sharing that information on the Kuvama Cultural Mapping page. And if you would take the time to go and check it out, you would actually see the journey for yourself, how we have, as total enthusiasts, none of us here are trained historians or people who knew a lot about you know, the geography of the place, the mythology that existed there. But as pure enthusiasts, pure heritage lovers, how we have kind of gone about, and the journey is there for you to see on the cultural mapping page. And most of the things that we have done would not have been possible but for the wisdom of Vaidyanathan sir. He has worked in BSNL Tiruvallur district for several years, knows every single village there back of his hands, and he has been a wizard in helping us reach those places pretty quickly, because right now I'm in a process of collating all the information in the form of a booklet, and in many, all that we have is only the GPS coordinates, because there isn't even normal like share auto or bus transportation into these villages. You will have to get off into a main town nearby and probably, you know, hitch a ride or something. That's the only way you can go to these sites. So all that we are able to give for certain sites is only the GPS coordinates. But even in those places, I mean, we talk very poorly about BSNL when it comes to connectivity in the world of 4G and 3G, but his knowledge comes from the fact that the government has spent years of work there providing connectivity, and he says so many stories about floods in the Kuvam River. I mean, there was a question a little earlier about any previous floods in the Kuvam River, and it's documented that in a village called Irlanjeri, which is to the west of the Kuvam village, the temple tank has been damaged. It's a 11.2 acre temple tank. Can you even think of 11.2 acres of land being donated just for a tank? I mean, but for the fact that it stays right next to a temple, it would have just become a Chennai Kamiga Arigil site. So 11.2 acres tank, where the steps and the approach to that tank has been damaged during a flood in the 1940s in the Kuvam River. So this is what Venkatesh has said is only like a curtain raiser to the work that we have done. I mean, it's not just us, but several other people who have pitched in with a lot of information. But the work that we have done is only a drop in the ocean. There's so much more to be discovered. And I would really request and encourage each one of you to take a look at that work and then carry it forward. Thank you so much.
When Venkat mentioned Chisholm going to Madurai and reconstructing the Meenakshi, or rather the Tirumala Nayak Mahal, the governor who sent him, Governor of Madras, is also commemorated on the banks of the Kuvem, and for a very interesting and specific reason that has to do with my topic. So this is Governor Napier, who's known for Napier Bridge and also for Napier Park, which is now called Mayday Park in Chintadri Bed. And if you note, the road that goes alongside Napier Park is called Pumping Station Road. That's because it was the first sewage pumping station. Even today there's a Metro Water headquarters over there. So that was the first sewage pumping station in Madras. Florence Nightingale wrote to Governor Napier and had the sewage system installed for Madras. When that happened, that was probably the first time that anybody was talking about cleaning up the Kuvem River, and that's something like 1880s. So we've been cleaning the river for the last 130 years with no visible effect. Hopefully this time we'll make a bit of a difference. So that's where I stand right now.
So Shashwat was the one who's another ardent fan of Kalki, and he is the one who discovered that Parthibendran and Aditya Karikalan are probably the same person, and he discovered that. அதுக்கப்புறம் இன்னும் ஒரு ஷாக் வேற இருந்தது இல்லையா? There is a Vandiyathevan shock, but I will let, should I explode it now? Or you know the story of Vandiyathevan marrying Kundavai Pratiyar, and it's one of the most wonderful romance that is sustained. He found a phrase, I think Venkatesh found a phrase, Shashwat found a phrase, அவன் மொறப்பொண்ணா அட பாவி கடைசியில் இங்கே வந்து சினிமா மாதிரி நிற்க வச்சிட்டீங்களே.
It was actually that the Sundara Chola's sister marries a Bana chieftain who dies in Sri Lanka. So Vandiyathevan is also a Bana. So அந்த காலத்தில் they want வெளியாளெல்லாம் விட்டுருக்க மாட்டானே. So he's just like a vagabond coming in and romancing the princess. It was not possible. So possibly Vandiyathevan and Kundavai grew up in the same palace and there's no real story behind Ponniyin Selvan on that.
And that Parameshwara Pallavan, this thing is also fascinating. That find is, they found one slab of Parameshwara Pallava in one of the temples. Parameshwara Pallava is father of Rajasimha Pallava, who built a lot of monuments in Mahabalipuram and the magnificent Kailasanada temple in Kanchipuram. He is usually attributed the construction of the introduction of structural temples in the Pallava period. But there is one temple in a place called Kuram, right? No, Chitrambalam, but there is also a Kuram temple which is not very far from Kanchipuram, which has an inscription of Parameshwara. So that was thought to be the oldest structural temple that we may have had, that nothing exists of the temple except the basement of the temple. That is the only Pallava remnants of the temple. But this temple, Chitrampakam, is important because it says Parameshwara Pallavan Yandu Talayat, right? Talaikavala. So Modal Andu Abrina than the inscription over Vartha. Talay and Talay Achia, Talay Avala. Talaikavadu Abrina Yandu Talaikavadu, Talaikavadana, Archikavanda Modal version. So this may be even older than and all we have of that is one small slab. So these are all very unusual finds to this thing. I mean, even yeah, that is not necessarily. That is not Mahendra Varnatliya Vallam in Tamil. The thing is it's not Mahendra Pallavan's or Parameshwara Pallavan's Kalvette, but probably a minor king in his rule. So not a Pallava edict, but a minor king in his rule.
Just to clarify, I mean, very interesting question. Thanks, Badri. The Epigraphia Indica, book 32, very clearly says that this is the first found evidence of a structural temple in the Tamil country, and it also says it's one of the earliest Tamil inscriptions that have been found. The inscription talks about a person called Kumaran It says, Alaivayil Somasiyar Marumagan Kumaran Edupitta Koil. So a citizen during the period of Parameshwara Varman I, during the first year of his rule, which is around 679, if I'm not mistaken, he has built this very small temple for Selyaman. And the stone, this inscription which was part of the original temple, today is the Vasapadi in the rebuilt temple. There was a picture which Venkatesh showed where I'm looking at that particular inscription. It is now the Vasapadi because people do not know about its historical importance. Tamil எழுத்துல வந்திருக்கிற கல்வெட்டு. That's right. Yeah.
இல்லையே வல்லம்ல இருக்கு. நோ 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 வல்லம்ல இருக்கிறது வந்து மகேந்திரன் காலத்திலேயே இருக்கிற வட்டெழுத்து இது. ஸோ அண்ட் மகேந்திரன் has written lot of his titles in Tamil also. தமிழ் எழுத்து தான், தமிழ் எழுத்து.